Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Purpose of the meeting today is a special development committee meeting, is to reconnect the committee after the absence of meetings in 2020 due to COVID-19 and discuss the scope, integration with council as a whole, meeting frequency, and goals for focus areas of the committee. So if at the appropriate time, people can disclose any pecuniary interests. We have no correspondence, no delegations today. So we will start into business, and we'll look at A. And there's a recommendation there, if everybody's had a look at it, that we as a committee direct staff to create a draft terms of reference for the development committee based on discussions and future consideration by committee and council. How do you feel about that, Jackie, and the other committee members?
I would move that. Do we have them? We can't have a seconder, really, can we?
I don't know. Well, I guess not. So
sure. We can.
Yeah, we can. Or yeah. So I'm fine with that too. So I think we go into there. If we look, maybe we'll look at B as well. Right now, yes, Amanda.
Just on item A, Chair White, does the committee want to provide any direction to staff on the scope differences between council and development committee for us to start from a drafting perspective, and even a review of the committee's understanding, I think would be a good starting point, just so that staff aren't, I mean, we're happy to draft something and bring it to consideration if that's easier. I just, if there's any points that we want to discuss to provide direction, we'd certainly be happy to take that.
Yeah, I guess certain things in the development, like the goal, part of the development committee is to help things develop and then bring them to council in a more formed format, is how I look at it. And when we are bringing to council, there is more, like we're still bringing them in camera, but there is more, there's more discussion, more you're closer to the fruition of bringing things is how I see it. I guess how broadly do you want to share things right off the bat until they're fully formed? I don't know where you're at, Jackie.
I think it's helpful to have the committee to meet with developers initially, because it can be a little intimidating as a new developer coming into a community to meet with all of council. And I found it was helpful when we were meeting in the past with developers directly, with it being the development committee, getting together ideas. That initial meeting and idea forming is very helpful to have for development committee, and then bringing that to all of council so that it can be, like you said, a fully formed plan.
Are you looking for parameters around what that in general means, Amanda? What is a fully formed plan that we've, have we, and Phillips, I know like that, planning has had a confidential look at it, maybe has some opinions on it as well, so that we bring, I guess we're getting an understanding what the developer wants to do, and we also have an understanding of what council can provide, and then maybe, or as a township we can provide, I would say, and then presenting that to council as a fully, here's what the proposal is, here's what we've been talking about, and what do you think, and we're maybe looking for some approvals on this.
Yeah, I think it's more that initial contact with a new developer that it's important to have a smaller committee. It's just less intimidating than coming before all of council in a formal setting where, I just think I've seen people, just their reactions coming and talking with us as a committee, as opposed to all of council. They just seem more relaxed and more open to suggestions and ideas. and new ways of looking at the situation. But I think it's also important to have council's input on everything that's going on in there, and even informing council on what could be coming down the pipeline is important, because we want council to feel like they're part of the discussion as well. Well, we want them to be part of the discussion.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
So
Yeah. Does that give you enough, Amanda and Trevor?
I personally wasn't listening, so I was on another call.
Questions or concerns from that direction?
So
What?
I think
Trevor?
it gives Chair White a good starting point for us to start looking at it. I do think that a little more refinement would serve staff when making decisions, but I think certainly to start a draft terms of reference to bring back to the committee, I think it gives some understanding of how the committee sees itself and would like to proceed. So we can use it as a starting point. Do just understand, committee, that the draft that comes back to you will be just a draft, right? So, but maybe it'll be easier to react to something based on these parameters than grasping. So thank you. Yes, it helps, and we'll proceed with that task.
I think looking at the meeting calendar, I don't know if we need consistent meetings on a regular basis. It would be more as things come up. But that's just my opinion. I don't know what your thoughts are, Todd.
Well, I like that there's a placeholder there, that if we need it, we can pull it together, and we're having like close to, I think if there's some discussion prior to that, if there's no need for a meeting, then we'll cancel the meeting. But the thing that Amanda and I talked a bit about offline was that we do, because it's a public meeting, we have to have it in our calendar and notice. And,
okay.
We can't just, it does take a little, so I would say leave them there, and we kind of make a decision. Use them as we need them. The bigger thing is if I guess part of the discussion that we had a bit offline was if you had something, we have an hour that we've kind of set aside ahead of council, and we have a hard deadline with council meeting coming right afterwards. If we needed more time, is that something that can be discussed before the meeting, and then we kind of set up a hard break and propose another follow-up public meeting or an in-camera part of the meeting that we would announce? Is that, how much notice do you have to give, Amanda, on that?
So if we want to be compliant with our policy, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And approvals would be needed to be provided by council. However, that's the procedural bylaw does allow for some flexibility. So of course, that's the standard way. You would issue 2 weeks of notice for any public meeting, any change of time, any change of date online. But also meetings can be held at the call of the chair. So while that is the preferred way of holding meetings, the chair can call a meeting of council or of a committee based on need, and public notice can be issued at that time. Now, even if that time is the day before.
Okay. Even if it's the day before. Okay. So I'm kind of thinking that we keep them as a placeholder. It gives us an hour if we need a discussion, if that's okay. But if we did need more time, we could do it just call the meeting early, or if we had something come up like we have had that needs some discussion and formulation, we can do that quickly. So it doesn't preclude us from doing that. Yes, Amanda.
Thank you. One final question. So as you know, in the past, and to your point, Councillor White, we have scheduled these meetings to back right onto a council meeting. Would some of your concerns about potentially the time limits with that constraint be addressed potentially better by scheduling them on an alternate day like not backing them up to a council meeting, picking another day and doing a monthly placeholder. I wonder, because some of our council meetings have been going longer just based on the volume of business, and an hour before, especially if now we're talking maybe an hour and a half before, it can be quite a long period for a meeting, even though it is electronic. I guess I provide that for consideration.
Yeah, I'm wondering that too. I think the worst thing when I was on council is walking into a meeting and being asked to leave. Like, even if, yeah, I agree with that. And that way there's not that time constraint. I don't like that we have that time constraint, because there are times where we've had to cut our conversation off early based on the fact that we have another meeting right then. So I would like to see maybe the same frequency, but on a different day and time. Like, I'm pretty flexible. I don't know about you, Todd.
Right now, more flexible, but yeah, things do come up.
Yeah,
that's all.
Mondays are usually good for me. Tuesday mornings would work.
Yep.
I think it is good to have that date set so that staff knows, you know, if they do get a delegation that wants to come to talk to development committee, they can say, well, development committee meets every third Monday at 10 or whatever. What would work for you guys?
Yeah, I like the idea of Mondays, because if we did need to bring something quickly to council,
yeah,
it's right after, later in the day.
Yeah.
And you know, if you did it on a Tuesday, you'd be waiting 3 weeks for the next meeting.
Yeah, what if we do it Monday at 10 instead of right back to back with the council meetings? Would that work?
Does that, yeah. On the same day as council, just earlier in the day.
Yeah, yeah. It just takes away that time constraint.
So if that's the wish of the committee, we could take your direction or a resolution for our deputy clerk to amend our calendar of meetings to reflect that change. And that way we'd have to do one public notice to change the planned date for the whole year. And we'd be able to issue an updated calendar of meetings. And then it would mitigate, I think, some of those regular notices that we'd have to do. So it would be like one sweep.
Yeah.
It would be updated, and then still any changes we'd have to do notice on, but it would make it cleaner.
Yeah.
I think, and easier.
That should give us lots of time.
Oh yeah, that will. Yeah. And then you have like a couple hours in the afternoon between meetings, so that it's not meeting and then right into the next meeting. It can be, if our meeting goes long, it can be a long meeting, especially on Zoom.
Yep. No, I think that works.
May I ask our deputy clerk who's on the meeting, Heather, if she has any questions or concerns about that amendment to the meeting calendar?
Nope.
So we could take that as direction, committee to amend the annual calendar of meetings to show development committee meetings occurring at 10 a.m. on Mondays, the same day as regular councils.
That sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So now we'll move on to C, I guess, which is goals and focus areas for development in 2021. So,
we currently have a lot of goals and focus areas on the table already, I think, with the new build and the new community center. I believe we have at least one residential subdivision coming in.
Yeah, this was my request more than anything else because
Yep.
I've got calls going back and forth with 4 different developers, including one developer who's looking to put a high rise in or a
How
multi-story,
high?
above 3 stories.
Okay.
I think they're a little pie in the sky, but they're doing it. And also getting a lot of calls on commercial industrial stuff that hasn't been turned over to you. We also are going to probably have to sit down with Mr. Jarrett and Waste Management. I don't know if I've told anyone other than Amanda this. She's on mute.
Remember, we are in open session.
We're in open
Okay.
session.
Remind you.
Maybe
Because-
we'll bring that later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I kind of agree with Jackie that we've sparked a lot of fires already,
Mhm.
and we've got to kind of let them burn a little bit, and get them going well.
Done. Yeah, like
What?
this year, I see this year is like that, building phase of the term,
Yeah.
right? We had our planning phase and then our approval phase, and then this year is our building phase. And even the fundraising is going to be a big part of this year, I think, for the new build and for the new community center.
I think
Get that all.
kind of, yeah. In broad strokes, I look at residential development and then commercial as two sections, and maybe our goal over this year is really determining where commercial development will continue in the town, or in the, because I think that's a little questionable right now. We have some areas or where we want to, and where else we're going to encourage residential development. So, Amanda?
To that point, Councillor Waite, thank you. Our official plan update is underway, and it will actually review all of our commercial and residential areas and the types of developments permitted on them for council approval as a whole. So I think the process of targeting areas and then clarifying what will be permitted at the outset is underway and will be completed this year, which I think, to your point, will assist.
Okay, that's good. And is that something that development can help with the discussion, or to bring to council? Is that something that we should?
I think that's more of a all of council kind of thing.
Well, just a recommendation, even.
Yeah.
Like, we're not determining it, but we're making a recommendation, doing some of that lifting for them. I don't know.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Doing the preliminary look at it as opposed to.
Yeah. Typically, the official plan process is approved by all of council, and all the information is provided to the whole of council, and then direction is taken. The one thing that I think helps guide the proposed changes to the document is the public feedback that we've had, the staff feedback, which did relate to some of these development and permitted use types of questions that I think would echo what development committee would put forth. And then also council feedback. So we did have that meeting where council spoke to some of its preferences and challenges. So, I mean, I guess typically the process would not be to bring the official plan to a subcommittee, but we can take direction from this committee or from council to alter that process. But it may also affect approval timelines, right? So the consultant has planned their current process around our current schedule of council meetings. But we do fall on the same day, but to have the consultant come and do 2 presentations at different times in their planning might be challenging and would definitely affect our budget.
I think it's probably best for development to be more micromanaging and the official plan is more of a macro project, right? Like, we want development looking at specific projects and things like that, as opposed to the overall plan. And I think if we try to step up over that line, then we could be stepping on toes of the rest of council. Like, we want to make sure that all of council is in part of that process. That's my thinking anyway.
Okay. All right. Is there any more discussion around that? No? All right, let's move in camera then, if we're good with the goals and focus areas.
Move to go in camera.
Yep.
I will end our live stream. To our viewers,